What's up guys, SkyKevin here, and today we're going over the bow for New World. We're going to go into each of the skills, its abilities, and fighting styles associated with the weapon. So, let's get started. The bow is an interesting weapon because it's so far stayed out of the meta when it comes to most builds. I think that due to the easier to land shots from the musket, it's largely overshadowed as an inferior dex-based weapon. That being said, I have seen some very heavy damage bow users, so they're definitely used by some players who prefer to have some extra mobility compared to the musket's damage-based approach. For the mastery tree, this one has Skirmisher and Hunter. Poison Shot will shoot a cloud of poison at an enemy, dealing damage per second, and deal double damage if you can hit them directly. Evade Shot causes you to leap backwards, shooting an arrow at an enemy. This will knock them back 2 meters and gives you a 15% speed buff. Rain of Arrows shoots a bunch of arrows in an AoE circle, causing up to 3 stacks of bleed and a 15% movement speed slow. Rapid Shots deals damage and knocks enemies back with the last shot. The cooldown is reduced by 50% if you land all 3 shots in a row on the same target. Penetrating Shot shoots an arrow through all targets, increasing the damage done by 10% for each enemy it passes through, up to a maximum of 50%, with another additional 20% for targets over 20 meters away. It can also travel 100 meters. Splinter Shot shoots an arrow out 10 meters and then splits into 5 arrows. The cooldown is reduced by 10% for every arrow that hits. The ultimate abilities for the bow are Knee Shot, which passively makes leg shots slow for 10%, and Concussion, which causes you to deal 20% more damage with the headshot and give you a 50% chance to return the arrow ammunition. For passives, you have a 10% slow if the enemy is at full HP, 10% haste for 2 seconds after dodging, 10% more damage to foes suffering a debuff, 20% more damage after dodging, 5% ability cooldown for shooting an enemy under 50% HP, hitting a foe with a debuff grants 5 stamina, 10% haste when you swap to your bow, debuffs last 20% longer, 20% haste if surrounded by 3 or more players, 20% more damage to enemies more than 20 meters away, 20% more damage on an enemy below 50% HP, 20% additional damage on the next target after being out of combat for 10 seconds, 10% damage healing if you land a headshot, heavy arrows deal 30% more damage and fly faster, you receive 20% less damage while aiming, heavy attacks deal 20% more damage to enemies at full HP, increased arrow shot distance by 100%, and finally 10% increased critical chance with the bow. As I've said, not many players have been using the bow because it's somewhat underwhelming compared to something like the musket. However, this weapon does have a good amount of bleed debuffs, which might work quite well with something like the rapier or the hatchet, while giving some good mobility and a few good escape options as well, especially concerning the skirmisher tree. You might also consider using the hunter abilities if you're doing some large-scale fights, where the split shot can hit multiple enemies and the penetrating shot can go through many more. The cooldowns for those abilities are quite long, but with all the passives, they might work well for some sort of siege bowman type build. It's also nice that this weapon scales solely off of dexterity. So, if you wanted to stack all of your attributes into just that, this could end up being a great class that's a full-on glass cannon damage dealer down the line as we get into the higher tiered gear. If you're going to be using the bow, let me know in the comments below what kind of build you're going to be going with. I always make sure I read every single comment and answer every question that I can. I'm always making more videos like this one on New World and other MMOs, so don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.